Hey, welcome to the Blitzed Briefing with me, Dan Bublitz Jr., tuning in my studio. It's still not completely set up, but we're getting there. Slow progress, but we are getting there. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It is Monday. I'm very excited. It's a big day today for me, for my comedy. Let's just get right to it, should we? Get right to the big news. My Dry Bar comedy special dropped today. That's right. My Dry Bar comedy special is streaming on the Dry Bar Comedy Plus streaming application. If you're not signed up for it, you can go to drybarcomedy.com and sign up for their streaming service. You can actually use, if you don't have it already, if you're not already a subscriber, you can get a free month by using my promo code Dan Bublitz. That gets you a free month on the Dry Bar Comedy Plus app, where you can watch my special along with so many others. Mine is called Use Your Imagination, which just debuted today. And very excited. I just watched it. I thought it was pretty good. I've come a long way since it was taped. I will say that, but I'm proud of it. It was for its time. It was good for when it filmed, and I'm very excited that it's out there now. So go watch that. Check that out. That's what the big news is. That's why I decided to go live today, because I didn't go on the road this last weekend. However, I realized I didn't do a Blitz briefing last weekend when I got back from the road, because I was on the road last weekend, or 2 weeks. Well, I don't know, last weekend, 2 weekends ago. I don't know. Depends on how you deem last weekend, next weekend, all those things. But yes, I was on the road Friday, March 18th, the day after St. Patty's Day. I was in Gillette, Wyoming, which was great. I went up to performed at Legends Lounge in Gillette, Wyoming. I got to have my friend Darren open for me, and afterwards we had a great conversation about comedy and booking comedy and looking for comics and things like that. It was a great conversation that we got to have after the show. The show was great. My friend Scott Brastriff showed up. Another friend, Heather, were there. So it was great. I got to see some people that I knew in Gillette that came to the show, and then we had a great show. Then Saturday, I drove all the way over to Sioux Falls because I was performing in Sioux City. I know you're like, why did you drive to Sioux Falls if you're performing in Sioux City? Well, it's because I have a lot of friends in Sioux Falls, and I knew I could stay at somebody's house in Sioux Falls. So then I wouldn't have to get a hotel. So that's, saving that money. That's what you do when you're working the road. Save that money. So I stayed with a friend. I went and did my show down at Marty's Tap in Sioux City. Only a handful of people showed up, but it was a fun show. I had a good time, made a little bit of money on the show, a little gas money, which is always good, right? Excuse me. Then, before the show, though, the cool thing is my buddy who does photography, Britton Hackey Photography, in Sioux City. He does a lot of live performance shots he does a lot of music and comedy and all kinds of events like that. His photos are fantastic. We did a little mini session in his studio. He took some pictures of me, which was really cool. So got to have a little mini session while I was in Sioux City, did the show. It was great. Went back to Sioux Falls for the night, hung out with some friends. They did a little karaoke, I just watched because I'm not a karaoke singer, not very often anyway. And then Sunday, drove down to Omaha because I had a show at Big Canvas Theater. That was another fun show. My buddy Jeremy Plum helped put that together, and it was a pop-up show, so we didn't have a lot of time to promote. A few people showed up, and it was a good time. I had fun. I think the audience had time. I met fantastic comedian Heather Jones, just hilarious. I laughed so hard watching her perform. And then on Monday, I had a show. I had a show down in Iowa, in Hamburg, Iowa, at a venue called Whiskey Springs. And I wasn't sure how that was going to be because it was a Monday show. And so it was a little suspect, as one would be, because, Mondays aren't typically the day for comedy. But it was a good show. There's a bunch of people at the show, and I had a good time. I met Cody Tioni, I think is how you say it. I'm probably slaughtering his name. He opened for me, and we had a good time at the venue. And then Yeah, it was just cool. And that was one of the Pub and Grub Tour shows, which if you haven't checked one of them out, you should do that. If a Pub and Grub Tour is in your town at one of your local watering holes, go check them out because they bring fantastic comics. I mean, they brought me, right? So that's fantastic comedy. But they did that show and it was great. Then after the show, I did what any raging comedian would do on a Monday after a show. I went to the truck stop next to my hotel and got some food and went back to my hotel, ate some food and watched TV, and then went to bed because I had to get up early to drive home. Now, this last weekend, as in yesterday, the day before, and the day before that, I didn't have any shows. I took the weekend off. And it was great. I'm trying to get some stuff done in the studio. I got a lot of artwork I got to get hung up in the studio, some sound panels, get it all set up so I can start doing in studio interviews for the Art of Bombing podcast, which will be coming up. But I took the weekend off and I got to go have a great weekend. I did couple date nights with my lady. We went and experienced some live entertainment here in Loveland, Colorado, where we live now. And it was a good time. We had a good time. It was great. And then when we weren't out having that good time, we were at home just relaxing and having a good time at home. Got caught up on a bunch of TV and just laid around, did some work around the house, nothing, just easy peasy, which is good. And then, but now I've got some shows coming up because on Saturday I'm leaving for Washington, D.C. I'm going to Washington, D.C. And while I'm out there, it's mostly a vacation. I'm going out there with my old buddy Cameron. But while I'm out there, I am going to be doing some shows. I'm going to be doing some live comedy in the Washington, D.C. area. And I'll pop that up. So this is what I got coming up. April 3rd, I'll be at the Simple Bar in Washington, D.C. April 6th, I'm at South House Beer Hall in Washington, D.C. And then April 7th, I'm at O'Sullivan's Irish Pub in Arlington, Virginia. All that information for tickets and times and all that, you can go to my website, danbublitzcomedy.com. Has everything you need there for my upcoming schedule. So if you're in the DC area, come say hi. If you know somebody in the DC area, tell them to come to one of my shows and say hi. The shows are always better when there's people at the shows, right? Live comedy isn't live comedy without the ingredients for a live comedy show, which is a comedian and a live audience. So if you're in those areas or you know somebody, come check those shows out. That would be great. I'm going to wrap things up here pretty soon. I like to keep these short and brief because that's what they are, the Blitzed Briefing. But I will say this. I want to thank everybody that contributed to my Kickstarter campaign that I tried to do. Unfortunately, did not hit the goal, so I was not able to back the project. Not a big deal. It just means there probably isn't going to be physical copies of the album. There might be. I'm working with somebody that might be investing, that might do an investment on the album and help me pay for physical copies. So that'd be cool. But that's still details. I don't want to say that it's going to happen until I know for sure. But with that being said, my album will go on pre-sale April 20th, and it will be available streaming everywhere May 4th. Because, I'm a nerd, and may the 4th be with you, right? Yep, good times being a nerd. I decided to align my album release with that. So that's called Strangers in My Basement, because I taped it in my basement and it was a great recording. I thought the album recording went good. I'm very proud of this project. Somebody even made a documentary about me. Jake Turner, Joe Nicola, two great filmmakers in the Twin Cities, made a documentary about me getting ready for that. And that was a good time too. Shout out to both of them. Joe's also a fantastic musician and comedian himself. So if you want to hear some cool jazz music and some real good guitar picking, go check out Joe Nicola Music on Facebook. He actually does some bumpers for the Art of Bombing podcast too. So it'd be a good time. Yeah, definitely go check his stuff out. So, all right, I'm going to wrap things up. For those of you that tuned in, thank you so much. Again, If you haven't done so already, go see my Dry Bar Comedy special on the Dry Bar Comedy Plus app that you can get at drybarcomedy.com. Use my promo code Dan Bublitz, and you will be able to get a free month subscription to the streaming platform. I'm going to be in the DC area next week. Got a couple shows. I might hit some mics. I don't know. It depends on how busy I am. But my full schedule is available on my website. Go to my website, danbublitz.com. You can find all that. If you're not already following me everywhere, you can follow me on all social media at dbublitz comedy. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the platforms. So come say hi at one of those. You can even send me an email. You can go to my website, send me a message, do whatever. Stay in contact. It's cool. I appreciate all your guys' support. And be ready for my album, Strangers in My Basement, going on pre-sale April 20th and streaming everywhere May 4th. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.